following is a presentation of the Spartan Media Network.
This is the Kristen Kelsay Show.
Quick in the middle, chicken wing tip, blocked by Zuzana. Pin to pin for Devin Kristen. Whoa! Guzema, that's a serious stuff. It's a victory for MSU!
The Kristen Kelsay Show is presented by One North Kitchen and Bar, making good times great on the Spartan Media Network. The Kristen Kelsay Show is also brought to you by Farm Bureau, Michigan's insurance company, MSU FCU. Spartan fans dream big with MSU Federal Credit Union. Meyer, supporting hundreds of sports teams across the Midwest. And Alumni Hall, your ultimate Spartan shopping experience. Now with head coach Kristen Kelsay, here's your host, John Krieger.
Good afternoon and welcome to One North Kitchen and Bar in East Lansing. This is the Kristen Kelsay Radio Show. I'm John Krieger. Glad to be with you. Going into my 22nd season as the voice of Michigan State University volleyball and welcoming in my fourth head coach and a Spartan through and through. Ladies and gentlemen, Kristen Kelsay, welcome home.
Thanks, John. It feels very right to be sitting here next to you.
It's been a long time since Kristen came to the banks of the Red Cedar as a freshman, and I don't think East Lansing really left you ever.
Mm-mm.
But what's it been like since December 23rd when you were able to get things done, sign on the dotted line, and become the head coach of Michigan State volleyball?
You know, it's been almost 6-7 months now, and I still don't think I've found the right adjective. There's a sense of peace about being home, right? An overwhelming feeling of gratitude for those who called me and we talked about the opportunity to come back to East Lansing. And like you said, right, I bleed green no matter what colors I'm wearing. And so Michigan State's always been a part of me and a piece of my home. And to be back here as head coach to lead these young women, to represent the Spartans in this role, it's just such a privilege. And I have so much gratitude of being back home. It's been awesome.
You've answered this question before. You answered it at Big Ten Media Days, and it's been a frequent question since you're hired, but this is a new audience on our airwaves as well as here at One North Kitchen and Bar. Your path back to East Lansing was an interesting one. It took you to other Big Ten benches. It took you to the world of club volleyball. And you found your way back at this time to this place. How did you know now was right to come back to? If I go back to a time with you as an assistant coach when you and I would talk, this was a job you always wanted.
Yeah.
How did you know the right time was now?
Well, I think timing's such an interesting thing. And I said this at my press conference, right? When I zoom out, I see how every decision that was made, whether that was in 2019 to go pursue an opportunity and really learn from somebody else. I'd spent 9 years in East Lansing. And so having that first step away from this place was really, really hard. And yet every life turn and twist and up and down that happened in those next 6 years prepared me for this opportunity. And I would not be the head coach or the human or the mentor or the role model or the leader I am today without every single one of those life experiences, good or bad. And we tell our team all the time, right? What matters in life is how you respond, right? To the positive and to the negative. And so looking back, there's so many different twists and turns that I can see now were all leading me back home as head coach here.
You know, I'm looking at your players as you're talking here, and they're dialed in. The entire team with us today. But it seems as though that answer segues into the kind of coach that you are, because it seems to me, from everything I've heard about fall camp and what you're bringing in, that you're teaching players to think about path, not immediacy. Sit there and try to build a program, play to close sets, play to set things up, see the game on a broader level, see your teammates on a broader level. Is that kind of life path that you've talked about and zooming out to zoom in something that you also want to instill in Michigan State on the court?
We should probably ask them. What do you guys think? Yeah.
Are we?
Right?
Am I right on this? Is this what she's talking about?
Whether it's our core values or, probably once a day we have a math lesson, right? Yeah, you hear the giggles. No, but my experience as a student athlete was a transformational experience. You hear me talk about this a lot. And part of that transformational experience was the back-to-back Sweet 16s, right? It was the success that we had as a player, as a coach, but it was also the young woman I became when I graduated, and the way that Kathy George was imperative that we grew as people and not just as volleyball players. And so for them, it's the same mission, right? That they are stronger, more independent young people when they graduate this program as they are when they walk in here as 17 or 18-year-olds. And hopefully we're going to have won a lot of ball games and they're going to have great volleyball careers. But if they will have not have grown or been challenged or responded to life in those 4 times, then I will have failed. And so that's a big part of my responsibility to them as people, as much as it is as outside hitters or setters or middle blockers.
That kind of leadership is why Kristen Kelsay was hired at Michigan State, I think, in an answer right there. You've had a chance to come in and now work with your players. Fall camp has begun. You've talked about your core values. Kind of set the stage for us for what you're bringing into fall camp and how you feel like it's going.
Yeah, we're about halfway in, 2 weeks in. We have our first exhibition match this Saturday and then our first home match next Saturday. And I've said this a couple of times, and I'm glad they'll be able to hear me say this, is the way that this team has come in and worked and lived our values and really kept the mission first has been second to no other team I've ever coached. Honestly. And our numbers are improving and our volleyball is improving. But they have come into a hot Jennison Fieldhouse doing double days for 2.5 weeks. And I don't think I've heard a single complaint about the Heat. They give us everything that they have every single day. And that's all I can ask, right? Is they show up committed to growth and improvement, that they live our values, one of them being our Spartan family, that we've had so many people in the gym almost every day. We have somebody asking to watch practice. Kathy was here yesterday, and the emotion and the love that they bring to anyone who's part of our program is so special. And it's such a great starting step, right? We're building this foundation. We're building the blueprint for this next chapter of Spartan volleyball. And I could not have asked for a better group to begin that with.
Let's go. Last question before we head to our first break. You've talked about your core values a lot. Share those with our listeners and with our audience here. What are the core values of Spartan volleyball? Yeah,
we have quite a few. When we talk about the mission of Michigan State volleyball is for it to be a winning program. And that's the most important thing, is that what every decision I make and we make is to move Michigan State volleyball to be a winning volleyball program, because that's the program I know and love, right? That's where Kathy George took it when I came in as a freshman and we hadn't made an NCAA tournament, to then Sweet 16s, to then coaching in a late 3 years later. But we can't accomplish that mission without each other, right? And we can't accomplish that mission without a compass. And that's what our core values are. They're a compass to guide us in our decisions, because these young women are going to make hundreds of decisions in these next 4 or 5, 6 years. Danny, where's Danny? Right? Next 6 years. And we need to give them a blueprint to make these decisions. So everything we talk about, loyalty and trust, we talk about Spartan value, but we talk about unconditional commitment, that their commitment to this program and that my commitment to them is unconditional. It doesn't matter whether we won or lost, whether I'm having a great day, whether they fail the test or ace the test, the commitment is not conditional on the variables or the constraints of the gym or the city or the amount of sleep or the travel delays that we've had. And so if we ask them to live these values, right, we're always going to be moving towards our mission of being a winning volleyball program.
All right, I'm excited. Can the season start tomorrow? Can the season start now? Hey, the compass, by the way, the compass is Spartan volleyball pointing north here at 1 North Kitchen and Bar. After that match, keep the celebration going at 1 North Kitchen and Bar. We're open late, 11 on weekdays and midnight on weekends. Cold drafts and loaded tots waiting just a few blocks from campus at 1310 Abbott Road, 1 North Kitchen and Bar. We'll take our first break of the show. We'll be back with more from the Kristen Kelsay Show, presented by 1 North Kitchen and Bar. You're on the Spartan Media Network.
Spartans, when it's game time, it's 1 North time. Just minutes from Michigan State University. 1 North Kitchen and Bar is your go-to spot for scratch cooking and world-class hospitality. When you're celebrating a win or catching up with friends, we've got the perfect dish to make every moment special. Join us for the MSU Coaches Show and get closer to the action with the voices that bring Spartan spirit to life. Visit One North Kitchen and Bar, where Spartan pride meets memorable meals.
Whoa, boss, how did that happen?
Mind your business.
I mean, how did a forklift make a shish kebab out of our company truck?
I said, mind your business, Billy. It's why we have auto owners. We work with an independent agent to customize our policies. So when the unexpected happens, we know we're covered. Because unlike you, minding our business is their business.
Oh, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
You didn't do this, did you, boss?
Mind your business, Billy.
Touchdown!
From the biggest of the big games to the littlest of the little.
There you go. Go!
Run, James!
No. First base!
Go, go, go! Whenever you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. From some of the biggest stadiums in the state to the familiar fields down the street. You're helping make a difference to the people and places you call home. Learn more at Meijer.com/community.
Sometimes we're asked if you need to be a Spartan to be a member of Michigan State University Federal Credit Union. The answer is no. To be an MSU FCU member, you just need 3 things. 1, you love saving money and earning cash back. 2, you have a passion for supporting your community, just like we do. 3, when it comes to your future, you prefer to dream big. If this sounds like you, visit msufcu.org to get started. Of course, if you want to cheer on MSU, we're totally on board with that too. Go green.
Thanks for joining us for the Kristen Kelsay Show, presented by One North Kitchen and Bar. I'm John Krieger here with the coach, Kristen Kelsay. We've previewed a little bit, or given you a little bit of recap of fall camp. We've talked about Coach Kelsay's core values and what she is bringing to Spartan volleyball with this team. Now it's time to meet some of the other people who are helping her along the way, and I think it's a good time to introduce our listeners and our guests here at One North Kitchen and Bar to your coaching staff. And I want to kind of go through each member of the coaching staff here and talk to us a little bit about why you chose to make them a puzzle piece for what you wanted to build here in East Lansing. And I start with Kirsty Jackson.
Yeah, I knew that the most important, probably first decision I was making is the people part, right? So you take over a program as an assistant, right? I'm not a head coach where I have a whole staff that I just get to bring with me, right? So as an assistant, I really had the opportunity to interview and find the right people for each position that I had. And because I knew that these were the people who I was going to have to trust, right, implicitly, not only with this program that I love with my whole heart, but with these young women and with these people who I know they're going to go to in really challenging times. And the privilege we have to be with these athletes in some of the toughest times they're going to face, right? That's a really important part of who I hire, right? And so, and I also knew from the volleyball side, right? I was a setter. My eyes just go to the offense. The setters in the crowd can attest, right? That's where my eyes go. That's where a lot of my feedback goes. And so I knew I needed somebody on the defensive side of the ball. And this led me to Kirsty Jackson, who is not only an incredible player, right? She's played at the highest level. She played 8-9 years of professional volleyball, but she's also coached at the highest level, starting at her alma mater, kind of like I did, which is pretty cool. And then winning a national championship at Texas, coaching one of the best middle blockers to ever played the collegiate game. I knew she was going to bring a complementary style to my coaching that was on the other side of the ball. And so having her kind of be our lead and our defensive coordinator and our scout has been such a blessing. And then even more importantly, she's just a strong woman, man. Like that is someone I want my daughter to play for one time because of her values and the way she conducts herself and how she's lived her life. So I couldn't be more grateful to have Kirsty on our staff and have her leading these young people.
I'm already looking forward to the Spartan defense this year. Dan O'Keefe is the second staff member we profile. Tell me a little bit about Dan.
I've known Dan a long time. He's another Chicago guy. And have always respected Dan's work ethic, right? He has started and just grown in this sport as an assistant coach. He's willing to literally do anything that I ask. And he is an incredible recruiter. And I remember the first conversation we had, I said, Dan, this is going to be difficult because I've been a recruiting coordinator in this league for 9 years, right? And I know it's going to be hard for me to not be, maybe micromanaging is the right word, right, of it. And I said, so year one, let's start it as like a partnership, and then I want you to take it. And I can't tell you how quickly he earned my trust, where it was no longer a partnership. It's like Dan's leading it, and now I just get to be head coach. And he helped us, recruit a top 10 class for the class of 2027. And so his extroversion, his ability to talk and connect with people is really second to none. And so he's been an awesome addition to our staff.
I can already see where the puzzle pieces kind of fit in with you. The next puzzle piece, Matt Jackson.
Yeah, Matt is a heck of a coach, man. He's only been us for about a month and a half. He came in June. He won a 17 Open national championship with his club team. Fun fact, he was coaching 2 age groups. He was coaching the 16s top team and the 17s top team. And there were multiple times at nationals on the last day, both his teams are playing in gold, both for a national championship at the same time. And I was like, man, we hired a badass coach, man. He is competing for championships at this level, won one, and then joined us for camp. And I knew in this role, I just really wanted somebody who obsessed about volleyball, right? And he's come in and he's done that, right? He's the way that he's already come into our gym and given cues and given ways to look at things, and with video and with Scout, like it's been so fun for him to be in his first collegiate coaching role. But what he's added to our gym already has been really impressive in the short time that he's been here.
And your final member of the coaching staff is the return to the graduate assistant position. And I don't really place Spartan players until after their career has finished, because I kind of want to see things develop. But I'll tell you, in 22 years behind the microphone, Julia Bishop is one of my all-time favorite Spartans. For a lot of the same reasons that you can give her a round of applause.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 2-5 gets a lot of love. And part of the reason that she kind of holds that place for me is the same reason that you're on that list, because I love Spartans who love being Spartans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an awful lot of the transition for Julia from Spartan captain to Spartan coach. Talk about the decision to bring 2-5 back, put her on your bench.
I got goosebumps. There's a lot of parallels actually with Julie and I, and it's been a real privilege to help her navigate starting as a coach with the athletes she played with, right? That's something that I did. I had to look at Corey Moster and be like, you're my best friend, and now I'm your coach, right? Like, it's definitely a hard, but what a privileged position to hold. And when Julia approached me about being our graduate assistant, it really was a no-brainer. And yet we did like an interview process. She did a scout, and it was like a really good process for her to go to, but she was being pursued. I mean, she had full-time people coming after her for assistant coaching jobs. And I'll never forget, she sat in my couch in my office and she looked at me and she said, I'm a Spartan. I will always be a Spartan. And I want to leave this place better than I found it. I want to stay here. And I think we both cried in that moment. And she's the epitome of what a Spartan means. She represents not only this program or this athletic department, but this university with pride and with character. And there's no one better in this role that we could have ever offered than Julian Bishop.
You know what? I agree with all of those sentiments, and I think there's an awful lot of special things there. I remember Julia as a freshman coming in, and she'd always take the court with saying "on the banks." And then when she would say banks, and she'd kind of stomp on the floor, but it would just get blushing.
She's got a little moxie door,
blushing over there at the table. But much like you, back when you were recruiting on Kathy's staff, would get a player in the room and they would leave knowing why you like Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's an awful lot of wanting to bring that back into this entire coaching staff, of wanting to have coaches who understand what it is to bring athletes to this special place.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to me that we have people joining this program, whether they're staff or players, that understand what a privilege it is to be a Spartan. And I, like you said, I've worn a lot of different other colors at different schools, and I've never been at a place where there's a sense of belonging or a sense of being part of something bigger than yourself as there does for the Spartan community. And so I think our staff has already adopted it, and our new players can see it and they feel it, that being a Spartan is something unlike anything else. And so when we have people in the room, right, like Julia or like Evie, who grew up a Michigan State fan, there's just something about that they know and they feel and they can model for our players and our staff.
Auto Owners Insurance, simple, human sense. Your independent agent, if auto owners make sense to you, contact that independent agent today. Thanks for joining us on the Kristen Kelsay Show. We'll be back with more of the Kristen Kelsay Show, presented by One North Kitchen and Bar. You're on the Spartan Media Network.
Need up-to-date information on how to listen to the Spartans? Make sure to follow the Spartan Media Network on social media to see upcoming broadcasts of coaches' shows, ball games, features, and exclusive clips. Check out the Spartan Media Network on X, Facebook, and Instagram, and follow your radio home of the Michigan State Spartans. Go Green!
Honeymoon, here we come. Where's our car?
It's been stolen.
We'll call our insurance agent. I'm right here.
Oh, hey, Jen. You got our invite.
Love the dress.
Are we covered for this?
Of course. That's why you chose Auto Owners. We work together to get the right coverage. So when the unexpected happens, you know you're covered.
That's simple human sense.
Now, how do we get to the airport? Take mine.
Thanks, Jen.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners make sense for you.
From the biggest of the big games to the littlest of the little.
There you go. Go!
Run, James!
No. First base!
Go, go, go! Whenever you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. From some of the biggest stadiums in the state to the familiar fields down the street. You're helping make a difference to the people and places you call home. Learn more at Meijer.com/community.
We sit, excited, on the bus, the sidelines, courtside, in dugouts, waiting for our shot, driven by greatness. For over 60 years, Dean has delivered athletes safely to their battlegrounds, not as a spectator, but as a teammate. Much more than a job, a true calling with all the purpose and performance that champions possess. Join our team today and experience what it means to be driven by greatness. Go green, go white, go Dean. DeanJobs.com.
Welcome back to One North Kitchen and Bar. Thanks for joining us for the Kristen Kelsay Show. I'm John Krieger here with the coach, Kristen Kelsay. We've met Kristen's staff. It's now time to meet our newest Spartans as we take a look at the way some of the roster has taken shape this year. And there are 8, count them, 8 newcomers on the Spartan bench here in 2025. And I want to take you through all of them. And I want to start. We're going to kind of go numerical order top to bottom because it's an interesting split for your roster, Kristen. 4 transfers, 4 freshies. And when you have the onboarding process for each, it's a different onboarding process of players that have played Division I volleyball before and players who have not. So just first off, kind of your thoughts on the newcomers and how they've bedded into what you're trying to do here in East Lansing.
Yeah, it was so important to our staff and to me specifically that we saw this roster and worked with this roster before we complemented this roster, right? So whether it was incoming freshmen or transfer portal, that we knew what made Spartan volleyball special, right? What were our strengths of the student athletes who stayed loyal and were here and were fired up to be Spartans. And so I wanted to know, like, how do they perform? And then once we understood that, we were able to complement what we needed. And I thought our staff did a great job of that this spring. Okay, here's what we have. Here's the strengths that we have. And now we need to complement the roster in this way to go into 2025.
So let's meet the newcomers. We start with a native of St. Charles, Illinois, and a transfer from South Florida, Leah Schneider, who comes in the defensive specialist and libero role. Tell me a little bit about Leah.
I mean, Leah is just, she came here in June. We just were able to start working with her for the first time 2 weeks ago. And what's so impressive about Leah is just like that kid is a worker bee. I mean, she comes from a club, right? That's just nose to the grind work ethic. She comes from a program, right, where she passed and played almost every set in her experience. But just Leah's the first one in the gym. She's getting extra reps. She's doing an awesome job for us. And it's been really fun to add her to that defensive libero role.
From a transfer to a first year out of Istanbul, Turkey, Bianca Mumcular, who comes in. Tell me a little bit about the outside hitter from Istanbul.
Well, she's currently on her flight here right now. So her and Caroline are in the air headed to East Lansing. Bianca did come on an official visit, so she's been on campus. We've gotten to know her a bit, but both of those athletes were competing in the U21 World Championships in Indonesia. So they flew from Indonesia to Europe. And then they were home for about 24 hours, maybe 40 hours, repacked, and are flying to Detroit. We'll pick them up tomorrow. So really excited at both of those. Bianca, we knew we needed some depth at the pin position. And so she is an athlete who's played, as I just shared, right, at the highest level on the world stage. She can do everything, and she's going to be an immediate asset for us in that position.
From Lincoln, Nebraska, and Marquette University, a 6'1" redshirt freshman setter, Malaya Long. Tell me a little bit about a position close to your heart and what Malaya brings.
Yeah, it is a position close to my heart. And this young woman is also a woman close to my heart. I got to know Malaya. I coached her team when I was at VC Nebraska in Lincoln, Nebraska. And so one of those really cool moments, right? When you talk about these different roads in life and how we were, 3 years ago in Lincoln in this, kinetic sports complex. And now here we are wearing the green and white competing together. And so having some depth at that position is really important to us. And then having a player like Malaya, who I know knows me and who I know is really unique and really cool to start year one with someone like that on our roster.
Always good to have a player on your roster who holds a high school state record in her sport. And if I am not mistaken, that is the case for Leila Ormsby, who holds the Montana state record all time for blocks in a high school career.
Mm-hmm.
Out of Billings Senior High School, the 6'3" first year. Tell me a little bit about our record holder.
Yeah, Leila is an athlete who, when I had my first conversation with her, she went through a pretty tough injury this fall in her senior season. And so that record is not even Leila at her
3 years.
Yeah, right. That's like without a year under her belt.
All right.
So, but as an athlete who, like we talk about, is just all in, right? Unconditionally committed to this program, regardless of her physical health, which has been up and down, right? Since she's been here, she's been committed to this program, committed to whatever this program needs. And I can't wait to have the opportunity to work with her out on the court here pretty soon.
Someone who is coming back home, and you know what it is to come back home, a native of Novi, Michigan, who spent some time out at Long Beach State and has come from the left coast back home to the Midwest and is a Spartan now. We're talking about Sarah Vellucci, redshirt sophomore, 6 foot, defensive specialist and libero out of Novi. Tell me a little bit about Sarah.
Yeah, it was only right that my first athlete added to this roster as head coach was to bring a Michigan kid home. And that's important to me, right? That we have the best in the state and the best in the Midwest want to be Michigan State Spartans. And so for me to bring Sarah back, we knew we were losing Nani and I knew we were going to need some depth at that position. So Sarah actually, she was on her visit my first day on campus. I walked in, Shane gave me the quick intro and he's like, wow, a visit on your first day. I was like, well, at least I know how to give the tour here,
You've done that before.
Yeah, 9 years, just a different
Here's
office.
the dairy store. Have some ice cream.
Yeah. So she came on her visit. We went to a hockey game and she committed there in the stands of the hockey game. And it was the best first decision that I made as head coach here.
We've had for the last couple of seasons, someone who I think should be a future volley fern in Taylor Hold'em. We are adding perhaps another potential future volley fern with another native of New Zealand on the roster this year. 5'10" freshman setter from Auckland, Kalia Norton.
I can't tell you how much courage it takes for a high school senior to move halfway across the world at Christmas to join a new program with a new head coach. And that's Kalia. That's who she is, right? And so for her like commitment to this program, but her courage every day to show up and work her butt off and do everything that I ask as her setter coach. She doesn't always get it on the first try, but there's never a question that she will run through a brick wall until she gets it. And that takes a lot of courage. And I think her perspective, all of our international athletes, the perspective that they bring from where they come from only make us a better and stronger team.
From Washington State University, a transfer, 6'1" sophomore, a middle blocker, someone who has Illinois roots like you do, coming out of Glen Ellen, Illinois. We're talking about middle blocker Brecken Scheck.
Yeah, we didn't realize till our visit that my parents' house and her parents' house are like a mile apart. It was wild. I was like, how do I not know you? Brecken, we needed some depth in the middle position, and Brecken was a student athlete that we watched on film and we were really impressed with. And then she came on her visit and it became a no-brainer, because what makes Brecken, I think, really unique is that she works really hard. She's physical, right? You're going to be so excited to see her hit the slide this fall, right? And play in the middle. But I've been most impressed, and I've told her this, is how quickly she's been able to show up authentically as Brecken. Don't we think? Right? She moved here in the middle to late June, and in camps, I'm like, wow, this kid's got personality. And she's already having the courage and authenticity to be who she is. And that's what I challenge these guys. The quicker that we can become all of us and show and trust each other with all of us, the faster we can move forward. And it took some time in the spring. And I think we're getting to that point now where, good or bad, we're here for all of it. We have to show up authentically as who we are. And Brecken's done that at a super high level really fast. And I have a lot of respect for that.
Finally, out of the Czech Republic, but by way of East Lansing.
Yeah.
With an East Lansing
Dual
connection.
citizenship. Yeah.
6'3" freshman opposite, also another player playing in that world championship level, Caroline Formankova.
Yeah, Caroline is a really big physical athlete that we're excited to add to our roster. Having her mom from East Lansing is a pretty cool that she's got this perspective from growing up, overseas, but also knowing campus and knowing East Lansing, and is also currently on her flight here as a freshman student athlete. So excited for the level that she's played at, the physicality that she'll bring our team, and also a unique perspective that no one on this team has.
Last question before we go to break, because it kind of previews our next couple of segments with our player interviews. All of those newcomers, outstanding. Welcome to Michigan State. You also need senior leaders, and you have a couple of those in Danielle Courtley and in Evie Duzema. Your thoughts on your senior leaders and what they've meant to the start of fall camp and kind of continuing and helping you build?
Yeah, I think I'll just start with Danny. The perseverance and the resiliency that young woman has shown over the last year after her season-ending injury is a testament to who she is, the character she has, but is also maybe the best example we could ever have on this team for those two things, to be resilient, right, and to have perseverance. And you're going to see her in a Spartan jersey this fall, and I'm not sure she was sure that was going to happen in January. So to have that in our leadership crew is imperative. And then Evie, right, we talk about being a Spartan through and through. I remember Evie coming to camp when I was an assistant, and now to see her in her senior year about to have what I believe is going to be a breakout role. She lives it, she breathes it, and she embodies what it means to be a Spartan. We will meet these two outstanding student athletes when we come back. When you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local teams across the Midwest, from big league stadiums to neighborhood ball fields. Learn more at Meijer.com/community. We'll be back with more of the Kristen Kelsay Show, presented by One North Kitchen and Bar. You're on the Spartan Media Network.
Whoa, boss, how did that happen?
Mind your business.
I mean, how did a forklift make a shish kebab out of our company truck?
I said, mind your business, Billy. It's why we have auto owners. We work with an independent agent to customize our policies. So when the unexpected happens, we know we're covered, because unlike you, minding our business is their business.
Oh, that's simply human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
You didn't do this, did you, boss?
Mind your business, Billy.
More fiber and laxatives, eh?
Who are you?
I'm future you. Future me? Constipation with belly pain still coming back? Our doctor figured it out. It's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Spartans, when it's game time, it's One North time. Just minutes from Michigan State University, One North Kitchen and Bar is your go-to spot for scratch cooking and world-class hospitality. When you're celebrating a win or catching up with friends, we've got the perfect dish to make every moment special. Join us for the MSU Coaches Show and get closer to the action with the voices that bring Spartan spirit to life. Visit One North Kitchen and Bar, where Spartan pride meets memorable meals.
Welcome back to One North Kitchen and Bar for the Kristen Kelsay Show, presented by One North Kitchen and Bar here in East Lansing. I'm John Krieger with Coach Kelsay, and the first of our 2 player guests on today's program, a native of Grand Rapids, Michigan, out of Grand Rapids Christian High School, what seems like a long time ago now, and a senior leader for Michigan State. I'm talking about Evie Duzema. Evie, welcome to the Kristen Kelsay Show.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
It's been an interesting ride for you over 4 years. 3 head coaches,
Mm-hmm.
A new head coach into your senior season here. Tell me a little bit about the changes in the journey that you've been on through that time and how it's prepared you to work with Coach Kelsay here in your final season.
Yeah. I mean, I think I just had a surreal moment yesterday when Kathy was in the gym, since I committed to play for Kathy. And then here I am finishing out my career playing for a former recruit by her and someone who got to actually experience her as a coach. And just, I know how perfect Kristen is for this role and how she's going to lead these girls in this program to do such amazing things the next year. And I'm so blessed that I get to be a part of it for 1 year, and I wish I could be here longer, but to see this off, and I just can't wait to come back in the next year, couple years, 10, 20, however long Kristen's coaching, and come watch how they grow and how phenomenal they're going to be.
I mean, I'd be all right with 20, but
Yeah.
we'll
I think
just
we all would.
we'll go from there. You had a chance to go to Big Ten Media Days and to represent Michigan State and to kind of be a part of what the Big Ten Conference is doing to really elevate women's athletics and women's volleyball in particular. What was that experience like?
Oh, that's phenomenal. I'm blessed to say that I've been able to go for 2 years now. And it's just such a special experience to be around all these phenomenal athletes and coaches that just make the Big Ten so special and the best conference in the nation. And it's just such a great thing to be a part of. And it's so empowering to be surrounded by so many great individuals.
Yeah, I mean, her and Zuza both crushed it. I mean, Evelyn, everyone in this room should be so proud of the way that Evie and Zuza represented our program, represented our nation. And even Zuza, who told me no twice, right? She was like, Coach, I really don't want to. I'm like, okay, just keep thinking about it. For her to get up there and face her fears and have the courage to be on live television speaking a language that's not her first. I mean, there's no greater pride as a coach than to see these two to have the courage and represent us so well that they did.
Quick note on Zuza. How about Zuza being named by Emily Eamon as one of the
Yeah.
top 20 players in this
Ooh.
conference?
Yeah.
Heading into this season. So a little hat tip there to Zuza Kulig and well earned, by the way. At that media day, you talked about wanting this year to be a year of consistency for you. Tell me what that means.
Yeah. I think in my 4 years, I've switched positions a lot, and that's been a roller coaster of learning and emotion brought along with that. And so I think this year, I mean, coming back to the pin, which has been my natural position all my life, just finding that level of consistency in my play, in my emotion, and in my competitive nature throughout every single game, and just finding that grit and holding that throughout every game, win or lose, how I'm playing, no matter what.
I've watched you through your career constantly be a player that was looking to improve. I've seen the approach change. I've seen your jump change. I've seen the arm swing tweaked a little bit. Through all of that, you kind of bet on yourself. Where are you heading into fall camp, and how do you feel about where you're at heading into this season?
I'm excited. I'm really excited just because of what Kristen and the coaches have brought already. We talked about how transitions can be tough, and Kristen especially immediately came in and recognized that it might take a little while for us to buy into a completely new coaching staff and for what they're saying and to build that trust. But I think right away I can speak for myself, but I think the whole team bought in immediately because we saw the character and the competitive nature and the knowledge that these coaches all had for the game. So from the beginning, since they walked in the gym, they've already worked with me on so many little things that are improving my game day by day.
Like what?
We're working on lowering my drawback so that I can have a little bit more time before I swing, my footwork, so I can be closer to the ball and I'm not broad jumping quite as much. Those are definitely two things we've been focusing on these last 2 weeks.
Well, if this interview is any indication, certainly you're someone who's committed to making this season a success. Thank you so much for being with us. That is Evie Duseman. When we come back, we'll chat with Danielle Courtley. We'll be back with more from the Kristen Kelsay Show presented by One North Kitchen and Bar. You're on the Spartan Media Network.
Spartans, when it's game time, it's One North time. Just minutes from Michigan State University, One North Kitchen and Bar is your go-to spot for scratch cooking and world-class hospitality. When you're celebrating a win or catching up with friends, we've got the perfect dish to make every moment special. Join us for the MSU Coaches Show and get closer to the action with the voices that bring Spartan spirit to life. Visit One North Kitchen and Bar, where Spartan pride meets memorable meals.
Spartan fans, choose chill. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. It's got that crisp, refreshing taste that makes these moments when you choose to rise above the noise and choose chill even better. Coors Light is the official beer of Michigan State Athletics, so crack one open and take a sip. Coors Light, choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2025 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Beer.
From the biggest of the big games to the littlest of the little.
Here you go. Go!
Run, James!
No. First base!
Go, go, go! Whenever you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. From some of the biggest stadiums in the state to the familiar fields down the street. You're helping make a difference to the people and places you call home. Learn more at Meijer.com/community.
We sit, excited, on the bus, the sidelines, courtside, in dugouts, waiting for our shot, driven by greatness. For over 60 years, Dean has delivered athletes safely to their battlegrounds, not as a spectator, but as a teammate. Much more than a job, a true calling with all the purpose and performance that champions possess. Join our team today and experience what it means to be driven by greatness. Go green, go white, go Dean. DeanJobs.com.
Welcome back to One North Kitchen and Bar. Thanks for joining us for the Kristen Kelsay Show presented by One North Kitchen and Bar. I'm John Krieger along with Coach Kristen Kelsay, and we are joined by Danielle Courtley, who is running it back for another season here in East Lansing out of Katy, Texas, the 6'1" graduate student who I think it is fair to say has dealt with some adversity in her time here in East Lansing. Came into Michigan State last year. The injury bug got her, and we heard Coach Kelsay talking about it. Danielle, first of all, thanks for being with us. And second, take us through the process to get back on the floor and your decision to want to finish what you started here at Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean, last year was supposed to be my last year of college volleyball, and obviously that didn't go as to plan, and I went home with a pretty bad knee injury that left my volleyball future kind of up in the air, and it was a question of even whether I'd be able to come back for the fall. So I think I really had to do some deep dives within myself. Like, what do I want to do? Do I want to come back? Do I want to go through this tough battle? Or hang them up? You know, I had that choice, and of course I had outside opinions, but ultimately I was like, I want to do this. You know, I want to prove to myself I can overcome hard things, and I can test my resilience and just find a way to adapt in uncomfortable situations. And it was tough, like just the mental battle of it all. It's probably the toughest thing I've ever had to go through, and it's a blessing to say that. I'm aware of there's a lot of other things that could have happened to me, but really tested me, and I'm thankful for my teammates, because I don't think I would be here without them. I didn't want to be emotional, but here I am.
No, it's you know what, you've earned it.
Yeah.
Emotion is something that's part of it, and this is certainly something you've earned.
Yeah. And I think just like they acknowledge me so much, like my hard work, and I don't need to be told that I'm working hard. I don't need to be told that I'm tough. I know I'm tough, but just to feel that and like really feel that from you guys and from the support staff and the coaches, it's just been incredible. And ever since Kristen got here, I was even 10 times more motivated to come back. Like I said, it hasn't been easy, and I'm not where I want to be, but I think my word for this fall camp and everything has just been, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be out there doing what I love with the people I love. It's just, I'm having so much fun, and I have a lot of ways to go. And the progress has not been linear, but I'm grateful and I'm thankful.
You said Kristen made you want to work 10 times as hard to do things.
Mhm.
What about Coach made that happen, made it want to work back 10 times as hard?
Yeah, Evie talked about how when Kristen first came in, like it's a new coach is coming in, it's hard to trust automatically. And I think everyone bought in so quick because she was so genuine and she cared about us as people more than us as players. So it's so easy to hop on board. And I remember our first call, and when she first got hired, and I was nervous, I was a wreck. I was like, I don't know if she's gonna want to have me back. Like everything's up in the air for me. And when I told her, I was explaining to her that my injury is pretty severe. Like we don't know. And it's like I told her I broke my finger. Like she was just like, didn't bat an eye. And she was like, this decision is up to you. We don't know where you'll be come August, but we're behind you and I'm here for you. And that support, automatically, I was like, I'm in, you know?
And I guess my last question for you quickly is, for you to finish this season, what's a success for you? What do you want the end of this year to be?
I mean, obviously, for the team postseason, I think we have the heart and the physicality of it all. But I think the most important thing is the heart. And I want to see us compete and ride that out. But for me, I think I'm happy where I'm at. Obviously, the goal was not for me to come back and be the player that I was. Again, it was just kind of to prove that I can do it. And of course, I want to be the player that I was, even better. But just to be back, and the success is me stepping on the court one time, if that's fine.
I don't think there's going to be a dry eye.
And that's going to happen.
The day that Danny steps on the
and when
court.
you step on the court, it's going to be well earned. Danielle Courtley, thanks for being with us. We'll be back with more from the Kristen Kelsay Show, presented by One North Kitchen and Bar. You're on the Spartan Media Network.
The Spartan Media Network when you need it. That's right. The Spartan Media Network now is on podcast platforms. Did you miss a MSU Coaches Show or want to check out exclusive interviews? Well, check out the Spartan Media Network and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. The Spartan Media Network, now at your fingertips.
Where's our car?
It's been stolen.
We'll call our insurance agent. I'm right here.
Oh, hey, Jen. You got our invite.
Love the dress.
Are we covered for this?
Of course. It's why you chose auto owners. We work together to get the right coverage. So when the unexpected happens, you know you're covered.
That's simple human sense.
Now, how do we get to the airport? Take mine.
Thanks, Jen.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
We sit, excited, on the bus, the sidelines, courtside, in dugouts, waiting for our shot, driven by greatness. For over 60 years, Dean has delivered athletes safely to their battlegrounds, not as a spectator, but as a teammate. Much more than a job, a true calling with all the purpose and performance that champions possess. Join our team today and experience what it means to be driven by greatness. Go green, go white, go Dean. DeanJobs.com.
From the biggest of the big games to the littlest of the little.
There you go. Go!
Run, James!
No. First base!
Go, go, go! Whenever you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. From some of the biggest stadiums in the state to the familiar fields down the street. You're helping make a difference to the people and places you call home. Learn more at Meijer.com/community.
Welcome back to the Kristen Kelsay Show presented by One North Kitchen and Bar. I'm John Krieger here with the coach, and it's time now for Alumni Hall Trivia. Today's winner will receive tickets to the next home game and a $25 gift card to Alumni Hall. There's a mic up here if you think you know the answer to this question. As a two-time captain for Michigan State Volleyball, Kristen Kelsay led the Spartans to the NCAA tournament 3 times as a player. Which round of the tournament marked the deepest that Kristen helped propel MSU to in the NCAA tournament? What round was the furthest that Kristen got to as a player? If you think that you know the answer, step up to the mic. Here's a hint. She told you the answer earlier in the program.
I did. Were you paying attention? I said it. Sorry, John.
So I don't see anybody stepping up right quick to the mic. We're gonna come on in. Okay. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Julie Carmichael.
Hi, Julie. What do you think the answer is?
The Sweet 16.
You are correct.
Good job.
You are a winner of tickets to the next home game and a $25 gift card to Alumni Hall. Thanks for participating in Alumni Hall Trivia. Alumni Hall, your ultimate Spartan shopping experience. We're going to take one final pause, come back. I got a couple questions for Coach, and we will wrap this thing up on the Kristen Kelsay Show. We'll be back with more from the Kristen Kelsay Show presented by One North Kitchen and Bar. You're on the Spartan Media Network.
Spartans, when it's game time, it's One North time. Just minutes from Michigan State University, One North Kitchen and Bar is your go-to spot for scratch cooking and world-class hospitality. When you're celebrating a win or catching up with friends, we've got the perfect dish to make every moment special. Join us for the MSU Coaches Show and get closer to the action with the voices that bring Spartan spirit to life. Visit One North Kitchen and Bar, where Spartan pride meets memorable meals.
We sit, excited, on the bus, the sidelines, courtside, in dugouts, waiting for our shot, driven by greatness. For over 60 years, Dean has delivered athletes safely to their battlegrounds, not as a spectator, but as a teammate. Much more than a job, a true calling with all the purpose and performance that champions possess. Join our team today and experience what it means to be driven by greatness. Go green, go white, go Dean. DeanJobs.com.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Welcome back to the Kristen Kelsay Show, presented by One North Kitchen and Bar. Our final segment. I'm John Krieger alongside the coach, Kristen Kelsay. And Coach, time for a question from the audience. A lot of great questions that we're going to turn over to the volleyball program, and we'll get the answers out to our fans as we get ready for the first game of the season. But I've got a quick one here. What's your favorite story about something that's happened in camp so far that you want to share with our listeners?
That's such a good question. You know, I think I'm going to cheat. It was a little before camp, and we were doing the beginning of camp. Yeah, and Danny, who you just heard from, had not been able to really jump and attack. She was just getting back to jumping. And so we were doing a progression series where she was jumping and catching the volleyball, and then she was jumping and tipping the volleyball. And it's scary, right? Like the last time she jumped and hit a ball, she blew out her knee. And so it's really scary. And you got the whole team, the whole staff is like 2 courts away. And I'm with Danny and our athletic trainer. We're sports science, return to play. And we're working on this. And we finally got to the point where she's like tipping and kind of real shotting. And I set a ball. I don't set very often still, but I set a ball that was a little tight. And Danny goes up and just hammers this ball, just like hits it. And everybody stops. Everybody in the gym, the other girls all just turn and look. And Danny turns around and she starts crying. The whole team runs over. And I mean, there wasn't a dry eye. It's like a mosh pit around Danny. I'm crying. Tisha's crying. Everyone's crying. And it was like that moment, not only for that athlete, right? The return to play and what she's been through, but for our team to acknowledge that and to celebrate her in that way. I was like, yeah, we're moving in the right direction.
We have like 50 seconds, so I want the quick answer. But before we have our next coaches show, your best friend then that you coached, Corey Moster, is going into the MSU Athletics Hall of Fame on September 12th. Your thoughts on Corey, a 3-time All-American, being a Hall of Famer?
Maybe the toughest competitor I've ever played alongside. Lauren Winsinski will beat me up for that. But Corey Moster is a competitive leader who we would not be the Michigan State we are without her. And one of the best to ever do it, not just at Michigan State, but in the Big Ten. And I can't wait to honor her alongside Mark D'Antonio and all those in that Hall of Fame class. And I cannot wait for her to talk to these athletes and share her perspective because she is who we are.
Coach, thanks for being with us on Kristen Kelsay
John.
Show number 1. That's going to do it for us here on the Kristen Kelsay Show. Some thanks going out to some people that made this broadcast possible. Otis Wiley of the Spartan Media Network, our engineer producer here, Chris Ordaway, Dalton Shetler on the video stream, Matt back in our studios. I'm John Krieger. The MSU Spartans' first volleyball action on August 30th, 6 p.m. against Merrimack at the Breslin Center. Then August 31st against Chicago State. The Merrimack game at 6 p.m. and the Chicago State game at 2 p.m. Tickets available at MSUSpartans.com. Thanks to the staff and everyone here at One North Kitchen and Bar. And thanks to the head coach, Kristen Kelsay. I'm John Krieger. Until we meet again on the 30th, go green.
Go white.
You've been listening to the Kristen Kelsay Show on the Spartan Media Network from Playfly Sports. The Kristen Kelsay Show is presented by One North Kitchen and Bar, making good times great. The Kristen Kelsay Show is also brought to you by Farm Bureau, Michigan's insurance company, MSU FCU, Spartan fans dream big with MSU Federal Credit Union, Meyer, supporting hundreds of sports teams across the Midwest, and Alumni Hall, your ultimate Spartan shopping experience. The Kristen Kelsay Show has been a presentation of Playfly Sports in partnership with Michigan State Athletics. All rights reserved. Join us next time, right here on the Spartan Media Network.